Hey guys, welcome back. I'm here with Howlin and Ruck. We have a continuation on the SliccRick360 no scope debacle. I don't know if you guys actually watched the 2-hour phone call that I had with him, but basically the predicament was that he was a Whatnot seller. He didn't ship a bunch of stuff out. Whatnot had to, I guess, step in and refund a lot of that, which I guess was a pain for most people involved. He had a bunch of graded cards. I'm not totally sure on what happened with those. He was grading cards for people, so he had possession of some of those cards. There were some transactions that were done off of Whatnot, through whether it was through goods and services or other payment methods that don't have buyer protection. As I always say, do not do that, especially for a large amount of money. You might save some fees, but you never know when you're gonna, somebody could take off with your money, not send it, or if it gets lost or anything like that, then you're kind of up a creek. So, as I mentioned in that video, if there's anybody that was affected and is owed money by Rick was given the opportunity to talk on the channel. He did so for something like 2 hours, a couple beverages worth of a conversation with him. But we'll get into these guys. But again, reach out to me if you're still owed a bunch of money, if you'd like to tell your side of the story. If Rick was lying about anything, feel free to let me know that as well. Receipts are appreciated. Otherwise, it's a back and forth a little bit. But we'll start off with Howlin here, who's going to give us a little summary of what happened, his experience within that, and then we'll move into some conversation with Ruck, who was involved, who was trying to help resolve the situation, and like me, probably ran into some hurdles with the mess that was the information slopped all over that Discord. But yeah, go ahead, Howlin. Let us know what's going on. Start to finish, what happened, and
first, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate the buyer's perspective, kind of side of the house as well. I will kind of start off just to say I had a similar viewpoint. I will agree with SliccRick on one thing about just kind of letting some things go, and I kind of had till the video came out, and I was like, that's not necessarily true, and heard some comments that I was like, yeah, no. So that's one of the reasons I reached out to you. So again, thanks for reaching back out to me. I appreciate that. In regards to my interactions with SliccRick, I will say the other thing I did want to make clear as well. I personally would not threaten somebody or their family, and just like you had said in your video, you would never, no one should ever do that. Despite whatever meaningless or however trollish or whatever it might end up being, if with no intention, it doesn't matter. That's just unsat. And so, again, just to clarify, I'm not one of those kind of people, nor would I ever want somebody to threaten my family. You probably can see some pictures in the background there, being a family person myself. So, all that being said, my interaction with SliccRick started when I was looking to get into Whatnot streaming. He said he was going to assist me because he had a friend who worked at Whatnot. So, I'll try to do this chronologically and also not take up 2 hours as your other phone call was. But he said he had points of contact, someone he went to high school with, I believe it was, or knew from school, that worked at Whatnot and could assist in getting me approved. Because initially I had applied and he was like, oh, you should be fine. I had applied and had to wait 30 days to try to reapply. And he had reached out and said, oh, create another account and try again. And so that's where, if you look on my account, I have actually two. One that I use when I'm streaming to listen, so I can get a viewer's perspective, and that's Howlin Howley, and then the other one that ends in a one. So I had the perspective of that he actually did help. I don't know now if that's necessarily so true, because I know that when in your very long video, he did mention like, oh, I don't really have a point of contact or a specific person that I'm dealing with or that I deal with for the refund perspectives, or that he knows specifically. I think you would ask him like, do you have anybody, not just for this case or anybody that you deal with?
I was mostly asking
So
because like where he was at the Whatnot event, it seemed like there was someone that invited him or something,
yeah,
but then
yeah, that was also mentioned in the video that somebody had told him to come on out there to the Denver con, I think it was, as I recall.
yeah.
So that was interesting to me. So my interaction with him started off with that, following him as a streamer, and then he actually was the one who encouraged me to check out the Zard Exchange, and Ruck and Lady Zard, um, because of the way they had it set up. He said it was great and all that. So that's how I came again to kind of tie that in a little bit with Ruck being on the line. Some things that happened, other exchanges that I had an idea for a collaboration stream event to get 5 streamers and then do the Whatnot has a co-hosting option. And so my idea was to basically do a marathon stream across the US. And so we had somebody that was lined up on the East Coast that would transfer over to the next person, and we kind of go from there. And it was going to fall all underneath my account. And we were trying to think of a way to do that with the Zard Exchange. It wasn't going to work out. They're set up with 2 hosts in a smaller screen. So they weren't a part. They were a part of the celebration event, but they didn't do any split screen sales. So we basically just put up a sign that said, head over to the Zard Exchange and so on. So during that stream, Rick was one of the people that we were doing the collab with. So I know there was a few people in the YouTube channel that said, and a few others throughout that Discord, you mentioned in the video that said, I wish I wouldn't have referred anybody to him. I feel bad about that. I do feel bad about it because at the time I didn't know. So we do a celebration and stream event on the I think it was the 24th or 28th of September. I had a really hard time getting in contact. I will say the plan was to get inventory so I could have it loaded. So when it was their turn, it was identified as their stuff. They would show it on their side. I'd already reached out to Whatnot, said, hey, here's my idea. How would I go about doing it? And they said, well, if they're shipping it, you've got to send them the PDF. It's going to have your information on it, but you'd have to send them PDFs to pack up and send off. But you could do it this way, and yeah, that's fine. And so I said, okay, good. Got all permission and all that. I had a harder time getting everybody back up here. The people that were a part of that event, the people that I did do the co-streaming with, that we did the split screen during that time, went ahead and I sent them the PDF files and said, hey, sorry, I got caught up the next day, and so I had to wait another day to send it. I said, please send these out. Just confirm to me once you do. Underneath Whatnot, when you send something, you can bulk. It's a label that says bulk ship, and I think this is another point that he talked about. How he said, "Oh, there's really no way to distinguish." On there. There is a way to say bulk ship. And because it was all underneath mine for all the things that I sold, and another person who was also on the stream confirmed once they had theirs sold, then I wanted to send it. And so Rick was telling me, he's like, oh, I've already got it. It's already taken care of. And I already sent it. And I said, okay, you sent it. Great. And, I'm saying bulk sent. And then I'm going back and I'm checking, because usually within about 24 hours, the postal system will scan it in and say that it has been sent. It'll say, left whatever facility, in this case, Washington. And it wasn't. There was a lot that said, label created, which is true, right? I created a label and sent him the PDF. Mine were showing up as going through the main facility here in Honolulu, and then another person's down in Florida. But there was several that weren't going through from him. And so I had reached out and said, hey, and then I had people reaching out to me saying, hey, I bought something both during your stream time and his stream time. I haven't, still says shipping label created. It doesn't show anything. Can you help? And I was like, yeah, let me reach out. And so and I'll send you those. I have some conversations where I was like, hey, did you send it? Yep, I dropped them all off. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, oh, this person, I'm doing something special. I'm hooking them up. And I was like, okay, well, did you send it yet? And I'm going to send it tomorrow. So there was a lot of that, I will say, as far as delay in shipping. After everything had gone out from his end, and I'd seen, anyways, that those items were now in the USPS system, I kind of and I told my wife, I just, was like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with this. And I was like, I'm not so sure how this is going to go and work. So I took all the totals for what they sold, right? And I minusing out the fees or whatever, and I sent people PDF of those funds. To back up, sorry, I'm bouncing all over. It's been a day.
It's okay.
before the stream, what was happening was he was going to send me some slabs. And so he says, "Hey, I got a bunch of slabs, man. I'm looking to get rid of them. Are you interested?" And then he also put out on Instagram a few things as well, that he had just come across a bunch of boosty boxes and was like first come first serve. So we got some celestials, we got some, I forget what all he had, but he had a lot of stuff that he says, "Hey, local LCS is going, he's throwing out stuff, and I got a bunch. If you want it, let me know. I'll run down there and I'll pick it up." So I had messaged him about the slabs that he offered, and I said, "Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to have a slabs giving event, right? Where I just sell a bunch of slabs. That'd be awesome." And I was like, "If it
Yeah.
gets here in time, we'll kind of preview it and sell a few during the live stream, the celebration event." And I said, "I can, I'll buy some from you, or I can display them for you, during your time of co-hosting. However you want to work it, we can figure this out." Um, but I never, so I, of course, being naive, and like you've warned people time and time again, I think on every show, JD people out there, be smart. And I didn't. I did friends and family, so I did a PayPal exchange with him
Okay.
for a few
To
hundred
pay him for the
dollars
cards that he sent, or that
to
he
pay him
that
for
he
the
sold, but
slabs
he
that
didn't.
he's going to, well, to pay him for the slabs that he was going to send me.
Okay. Yeah.
The initial ones were for slabs, and I'll send you that receipt.
Did you
Or I
end up
can send
sending
you.
him money for the stuff that sold? Because like you would have received all the funds for that like co-host stream.
Yeah, I sent him the funds once it was
Okay.
all over and everything was marked as delivered.
Okay. Just
Um,
when they're delivered.
all of that. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
So
So you
yeah, to
didn't
clarify,
get burned on that.
no, I didn't get burned on that.
Okay.
I sent him the money, right? So as
Yeah.
soon as the items were delivered, it hits my account. I totaled everything up, minused out the fees, and I sent that to him.
Okay.
I forget how much it was, but I had done that. So the slabs that he said he was going to hook me up with, I never got. I paid for it, never got. And then he also was sending me these boosty boxes, and I think it was at least one Celestial Storms, as I recall. Um, but I never got that. It got lost in the mail. I had done he had a raffle on Instagram for a fossil tall that I won.
Did the booster
Um,
box or the whatever he said he sent the booster box and it got lost, or it just
yeah,
never did it ever ship? Did it mark shipped?
no, I have no idea. I
Okay.
have no
Yeah.
idea on that. So the slab box, he said, got sent and then got lost, and then he was going to go with another insurance company for insuring it. He says, "Oh, I'm not too worried about it. I'll build you another box and send that off." And I was like, "Okay, well, try to hurry because we got this event coming. If you want me to sell, show anything on stream, and if you want it to be from you or during your time, I need it." And I got to list off the inventory. Um, so I never got that. I never got the boosty box. I never got the fossil pack that I had won during his IG event. And supposedly what happened was these items got lost. I had also sent him a box of stuff for the event, and I sent him like bubble wrap, bubble envelopes, and other things. They did the same thing for anybody that did the collaboration event with me. I just basically said, "Hey, here's a bunch of stuff for the event, right? So you're not at a total loss on shipping because that's not usually covered for your product and cardboard and all that stuff." So I just small little care package with the additional booster box to say, "Hey, thanks." So I had sent him that. I don't know if he had ever received that, actually received it. And he had bought I'm going to forget what it was exactly. I want to say it was a booster box, an entire boosty during one of my streams of Lost Origins. That's what it was. And they had some great hits in there, actually, um, which, for Lost Origins at the time was pretty rare for the hit rate. Um, but I had sent it to him, and evidently it legitimately got lost in the mail. So all of this is happening with stuff getting lost and
Yeah.
him
So
saying,
there's
"Oh, I'm going to
stuff can get
repackage it."
lost, but like
It does happen.
not everything in existence.
No,
Yeah.
right? So the new package of slabs that he was supposed to send didn't come through. I was like, "Send me the tracking number. Like, I'll look it up, and I'll track it down. I'm gonna submit something in for whatever you said was lost. I'm gonna email in and try to
Hmm.
figure out what's going on with that with USPS and do an investigation if it doesn't show up within the time frame." So I had done that. Um, probably the strangest thing related to that was he said that my boxes that I sent him ended up in Florida. So this is, sorry if I'm bouncing all
That's
over
okay.
again.
Yeah.
Long day, and there was a lot going on in the 2.5 or 3 hour long event. Um, so he told me, he says, "Oh, it ended up in somebody's place in Florida, but they're sending it back to me. They contacted me and they're sending it back to me." Which I was like, "They contacted you?" He's like, "Yeah, they contacted me and they're gonna send it back." But I don't remember, you said it was yours or one of the things I sent him or one of the things he sent out. He's like, "Oh, but they're gonna send it back to me." And I was like, "In Florida? Like, is there a Florida, Washington that I don't know about? I mean, I don't know, small towns or whatever." He's like, "No, like Florida, like FL, Florida." And I was like, "Florida? Hawaii, Washington,
Yeah.
Florida," which is, right before the storm time period or whatever that they had going on, those series of storms. So in my investigation of the box I had sent him, I had reached out to USPS and they started an investigation. And the person from the Washington shipping area had called me and said, "We got the investigation. Here's what's going on." I said, "Yeah, well, then again, I will refer to him as a buddy because at the time it is like that." And I know some people, when you had the Poke Vita video, and I forget who all it was, Hits and some others. It's true. You call somebody your buddy. It is a community. You try to keep it fun. And again, there's some bad folks out there, but usually pretty good people. And I was like, "Yeah, my buddy said that it ended up in Florida. He tracked it down. He had a guy in Cali." I'm going to send you all this because it is just strange. Um, that he had reached out to. Rick had a person in Cali that had tracked it down. He had a point of contact, and that's the person he said it was in Florida. And when I mentioned this to the USPS person, she's like, "Well, I have nothing in my system. And I have the system. Like, there's not like another system that someone in California can access. That's not anything I'm not able to access. It's not like a
Right.
tiered
Because
system thing."
if it just wasn't ever scanned in, then it wasn't ever scanned in. Because
True.
even that,
And
like
she's like,
sometimes, like even if they miss the initial scan, like they might scan it later on, and then it gets picked up by the system. I've seen that, but like if it was just never scanned ever at any point, then
and so the part where it got weird was she reached back out to me and she's like, "Florida." She's like, "That's just weird." She's like, "I've never," she says, she told me, she's my legal name. She's just like, "I've been doing this for like 20 plus years. I've never had anything that I'm about to describe to you happen." And I said, "Could you call me back the next day?" I'm like, "What's that?" She says, "When you asked me to look into the one he had sent you," she's like, "I typed that number into our system. I am seeing the package you sent him." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" She's like, "I can see your label with your barcode and the one we were trying to track down." And that, she's like, "It was somewhere in the system." And she's like, "But when I type in his, um, the package you were asking about that he had sent you, because he finally sent me a tracking number." And she's like, "But I see your package. It clearly is to him with your return address and everything on there." And I was like, "That's odd." She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "I've been doing this for over 20 some years." She's like, "I've never seen anything like that. I have no idea why." And again, take of that what you will, but it was just one more of the craziest things that I had seen, or that happened with this whole entire thing. Again, I apologize for my lack of sleep and bouncing all over the place with this, but there was, to go to what he said, basically was, he made some comment about me personally. Again, I don't condone anybody threatening people or any of
yeah,
that
I
with
mean, like people
things, but
usually people don't mean it when they're like, even if they're saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna knock your teeth out" or whatever. It's just like,
right.
why would don't ever say anything like that.
No,
It's not worth
and
it.
sorry, I'm looking
Yeah.
I'm looking down at my notes here just to make sure, because again, I'm scatterbrained to begin with, but more so when I have little sleep. But yeah, so I want to make clear that one. The whole, um I'm the one out of money with Howling, that's not true. If anything, I kind of, and I will send you the exchange. I did, as I said, I kind of washed myself of this, and that was the one thing I kind of agreed with on him. It was one of those lessons learned. I was not out as much as some people were. So I was grateful for that. And I will say, I do want to be clear that I said from the beginning of when that Discord started after that Whatnot event, I had reached out to him October 12th before this live stream event on Whatnot or whatever, where everything went down. And I hadn't received anything back. I hadn't gotten the boosties. I hadn't gotten the slabs. I hadn't gotten that fossil point. And so I sent him a text on October 12th, and I was like, hey, I sent you $170 via PayPal yesterday from your sales for the celebration stream, which honestly was more technically after fees, but I just rounded it up and I told my wife, I was like, I just want to be done with this. Something's going on. I don't want to be a part of it. And I want my name out of this. I don't know what's going on exactly. And that's, again, when I started talking to Zard Exchange before everything blew up and said, have you ever, like, he referred me to you. How well do you know him? Because I had such a hard time getting this information. And now I've got all these things. But I sent him that. And I was like, hey, it's been over 8 weeks since I sent you $350 via PayPal for the slabs. And it's been almost 7 weeks since I sent you $300 for the Celestial Storms boosty. And that fossil pack from the IG raffle that you did as well has yet to arrive yet. I was like, I'm not getting any responses. I'm not getting any updates or responses, and that package still shows as having a label and not anywhere in the system. I know you said that you were working or looking into an insurance claim. I was like, at this point, I would just like a refund of the funds that were sent to you. You have both my PayPal and Cash App info because one I did PayPal and the other did Cash App. And then I said, let me know if there's anything else you need from me, and when you transfer the funds back. Thanks, Howlin. And I left it at that. And I will say, and I did put this in the Discord after the Crazy Whatnot event, I told people from Jump Street and several times during that Discord before I left it because it just got weird. I said, look, have you reached out to him? Try reaching out to him, because I did reach out to him and he did refund me partial money. He ended up saying like, oh, I'm going to subtract $160 to that lost package. So then we're good. And I was like, okay, yeah. And then I sat there and there was another exchange, and I'll send it to you, that it basically was just like, well, wait a minute, which package are you talking about? Because he can file, again, from Whatnot. If you're a Whatnot buyer, if I buy something from you, if you're a seller on Whatnot, if you were, big hypothetical there, then I would be able to say, hey, I didn't get my item. And again, this goes to your point, right? Whatnot's pretty good about if you reach out to buyer support and say, I never received this, they'll help and assist you, but you want to reach out to that person first. It's usually what they recommend, which is the standard idea for anything.
It's the same thing, like, with eBay.
Yeah, and that's the standard practice, which makes sense. So he technically, if that's what he was referring to, does get his money back. And again, there was a lost item. There is still a lost item. Last update I got was about the time you did the video, the 3-hour one. And they just gave me an update on like, hey, we're still looking into it. In his message to me, he had even acknowledged like, oh yeah, I've dealt with it before and I'm still waiting something like years ago. And I'm like, okay, well then why wouldn't you just give me the refund if you know how it's going to take forever for me to do a claim? But either way, I knew he could get his money back from Whatnot if that's what he was talking about. So I was kind of like, whatever, I'll eat it. And then he ends up telling me, closing off this email, he's like, hey man, I'm building this awesome package, sorry it didn't work out, sorry thing got lost, but I'm going to send it to you, man. I'm going to hook you up with this additional stuff. And I was like, well, you don't have to, but thanks. Okay, sounds good. And I left it at that. And he's like, yeah, bro, I got you, the emojis. And
fire again, emojis per hands.
It's more of the fist bump.
It's the fist bump.
Yeah. Fist bump. Yeah, that was his thing, was the fist bump. But it was to the point. It was just more like, well, why would you send me anything, man? Sell that on the side and just give me the rest of my funds back. You know that. But neither here nor there on that one. But yeah, there was something with Florida, so I don't know what he's talking about. Like I know nothing about Florida at all. So I'm like, okay, well, I've got messages here. We did a lot of it was conversations were on the phone, but I have it. So there was a Florida thing, which again, even USPS was like, I have no idea on that.
Was it yours or was it somebody else's where he said that they accidentally He accidentally shipped it to his niece or something.
That was somebody
That
else.
was
I'm
somebody
not,
else. Yeah.
no, I'm not
So
worried about. But yeah, again, I'm sorry I'm bouncing all over, but bottom line, it was he said he had no points of contact or whatnot. Again, maybe he just sold me up a stream or whatever, but whatever. I got approved, and I was appreciative of that. And that's again something that kind of did bond me to that. You know, um, I did reach out to him, and he did refund. And this is before everything blew up. And I was telling people in the Discord again, and like reach out to him first and try that. He did give me not all, but some. I did get some of my money back. I think even when I messaged you and you brought it up during the video and some other people made comments, it's good that Whatnot did do the right thing, right? If it was via Whatnot, people were able to go through and make a list. Now, some of those people, uh, it was just crazy the amount of stuff that they had that they never received, which I think he spoke to Anderson, Mr. Anderson, whom I actually talked to a little while ago. And messaged me. He just was like, I'm good, but you can let him know I still have yet to receive anything. I think there was that I'm putting a special package together. I'm working on a letter or something like that at the end of your video with him.
yeah.
But Anderson was like, you can just let him know I haven't received anything yet. So take that what you will, do what you will with that. But I think it's more to the point of he bragged about, I don't say bragged. I don't think it's right the fact of if you have all these products, Whatnot's policy is you're supposed to ship within 2 days. That's how it is
Mm-hmm.
on Whatnot. They tell you that as a seller. Again, today, for example, is Sunday, so I can't ship here in the US. But my stuff from Friday goes out on Monday,
Yeah.
first thing. And that's a pretty reasonable thing to understand. But for someone to hold on to the product as long as they did, and if you, I think it was your exchange, something to the effect of, I don't recall the amount, but there was still an amount that was owed. But as an example, if you have $10,000 worth of product that somebody buys from you, and after phone calls, emails, requests, whatever, you finally start moving stuff, and again, beyond the 2 days that you're supposed to, and you say, hey, it's all good. I went ahead and I took care of 9 grand. Like, it's all good. I only owe X. Well, then you still owe X, right? If it's $1,000,
Mm-hmm.
if it's $100, whatever it is, you still owe it. And if you waited to send that stuff out, that's not right either. As far as grading goes, as I mentioned to you in an email, I had somebody reach out to me about that live stream. Again, I want to say it was the 24th or 28th that we did it, the event. During that live stream, we did do the split screen, and another time we had another time slot where Rick did one where we just again did the raid where I just put up a piece of paper and he did it on his own. So it just says, hey, we're still streaming. Check out Slick Rick's page. Same that we did with the Zard exchange. And during his time of selling, he had someone purchase grading, and they purchased a card when it was underneath the co-hosting, a Zard, Celebration Zard, I believe, and he said he was going to send it off for grading. This person reached out to me, like I said, within the last week or so, and said, hey, I don't really know who to reach out to. I can't get any response from him. I don't even know if he's even there anymore. This happened underneath your co-hosting. I don't know. And this was the one person that he delayed in shipping. And he said, oh, that's my buddy. I'm hooking him up. I know him. And I was like, okay, well, send out the stuff because, it's still saying label made,
Mm-hmm.
not in the system. And so I was a little hesitant in my response, but it turns out that this particular person really did have a item that they did purchase and they did pay for. They sent me the screenshots like, hey, here's my grading, that I paid for during his individual live stream, and here's the one underneath yours. And I said, well, my system shows it's delivered. That was my way of, honestly, I was like, oh, everything got through. Okay, I'm good. Like, well before even everything blew up, I just didn't want to deal with all of this stuff that seemed to be happening before it was even out that it was happening. You get that feeling. Um, yeah, and so when I looked at it, he said, oh, I'll show you what I got. And he got like a binder or something. That was what was sent. So when I looked at it, it says delivered on this day at this time, left at this location, front porch or whatever. And he said, all I got was this. I also had a Zard, celebration Zard that he was going to do CGC grading for. And I was like, I really don't know what to tell you, man. if you've tried reaching out to him, there's not much that I personally can do. I said, but I will do everything I can to make right whatever was purchased underneath my, you know, underneath my thing, because that's really all I can do. I said, I will reach out to Whatnot right now. And I said, you get this stuff together, and here's what I'm telling you, what I'd suggest that you do that has worked out for others, no guarantees. But if Whatnot does not refund you the funds, please let me know. And again, I can only make right what he purchased on my stream, which was a $50 item, which I think was his art, is what he was saying. And then he purchased the grading during the other stream that Rick was on. But I told him, like, I will make it right for whatever you got underneath mine. That's pretty much all I can do, but go through Whatnot first. And gave him all the information, told him exactly what to say. I said, this is a co-stream thing that's never really been done. Lessons learned from us on it for sure.
Yeah,
But
if it's not built in, it's just like it's kind of like there's a lot that can go wrong. It's kind of similar to like the grading middlemen that are sending to other middlemen that are like, it's just like there's so
you
many
had a very good episode this week.
there's
Yes.
so many points of failure. Like and
Yeah.
even just hearing this, I'm just like I'm thinking about it. I'm just like even like Whatnot, where people are like offering to grade stuff is just so risky because if there's not a proper system and like it's held up and like who knows how long it's going to take or if it's lost along the way, and if that's not
I,
all in place and like
I
I'm
again, like I said, you brought up a good point in your stream or show, sorry, the other day. I will say, as a person who I just started grading, or offering grading services, I was hesitant about it. And I'm gonna kind of kick it over to Ruck here in a sec to speak to it. But it was actually he had said, I said, well, how are you going to do yours? Like, I really want to offer that to people that want it, so it's less, going through the mail and less opportunity for the card to have issues. And his suggestion and what I've done is to basically build out a Google Sheet. I finally just got it, so I've sent off a few for grading, but I literally I was sending messages to anybody who purchased. I was like, here's the box, here's your card before it goes in the box, here's this, and then now I've got a Google Sheets that they can see, like, okay, it's UPS this date, UPS tracking number. In the case of CGC received it here. Here's the order number. Here's where it's at in their process. And then I just update that. And so I'm
yeah,
going to do a Google Sheet. But you've got to have, to your point, like,
it's the thing that's
something could go wrong.
the grade, even with the grading company itself, it's like unpredictable of how long it's going to take, and sometimes they can't even really give you an update. And so like I guess you'd have to just show every step along the way every time it changes, or like I don't know if there's
And
even a good way with all of the grading companies to like give people access to be able to see the submission that their stuff is being entered on.
I think that would probably, again, in a perfect world, if the grading companies would listen, and I think your idea of what you have, once it's in their system, they should be able to assign, and they do assign an individual number to it, right? It'd be nice if people could just log in and be like, oh, what's my status? Like, oh, it's at grading, or it's encapsulating, or it's,
Yeah.
it's going through the, quality control
It's almost
process
like you
again.
could assign those cards to a username.
Yeah, there you go. To a username, very good suggestion. But again, I'm not, I just started doing it myself. I will say that person that reached out to me that had the issue with the grading never got their card, and that was his thing. He's like, who do I even ask? He's like, where do I even go? And initially, I'm going to be
Yeah.
full disclosure, I was like, I don't know. According to Rick, this guy's his buddy. So then I was a little standoffish at first, like, here's what you would have to do. Sorry that this happened to you. Please know it's not comfort at all, but you're not the only one that got burned. I myself, not as bad as some, but I got burned myself. And again, to your point, I wrote it off as a lesson learned. I will agree, like I said with Rick, you know, it's it's one of those things you just you gotta willing to let it go and move on. And I did count that as a lesson learned. Don't do friends and family. Don't do it even though it seems like a good opportunity or the person seems like your buddy, your pal. Don't. And either don't do it or understand your risk well in advance. And if they are your friend and, friend about this whole entire thing, then what's wrong with not doing friends and family? Just do it as a business disclosure so it covers you both. And
Yeah.
that's honestly it. So I will say that again, I've said a lot, I've bounced all over, but ultimately, I asked for my stuff back before the Whatnot stream thing blew up. I didn't get everything back that I was supposed to. I didn't get a lot of items. I got crazy stories about what was shipped and insurance claims and weird numbers and shipping issues and all of that. There was stuff about Florida. Again, supposedly he doesn't know anybody at Whatnot, but that's how he hooked me up with getting approved and, was going to reach out to somebody on my behalf, which again, I'm appreciative for. I don't think it's right no matter how you break it down. And I know there was a lot of comments on YouTube and Discord or whatever for people who are like, well, Whatnot made you whole? Like then it's fine. Well, it's not fine because despite that Discord going crazy, the Discord did help. And I think there were some comments on that too, right? It allowed people to come together and say, hey, wait, I'm not the only one. I'm also waiting on stuff. Or I didn't receive this. Or, I actually bought 5 cards and I thought maybe because I only got 4, or whatever it was. Or I'm waiting on grading. I think that's a positive to come out of this. Initially, like I said, I told people to reach out. I did get partial refund, so I give him credit on that. But you're supposed to ship within 2 days. Things happen, a few days off, whatever, but weeks, months not getting it. Telling people you're going to send them stuff and working these side deals, it's appealing to other streamers, to your point. It's hard for those of us that don't have a brick and mortar store for inventory. That's just the honest truth, right? It's just the way it works. It's hard to get a vendor or distributor to work with somebody who does not have a brick and mortar store. So that's where I think the opportunity, if you will, for a shady thing to happen kind of lies. And in a sense, I also think that's what, for streamers, it kind of does link people together to say, hey, I found a good deal on this site, or I've got a person who I know in Japan, or whatever. Similar to, I'm sure, some of the stuff you've seen.
Probably less of an issue now, but I'm sure like during like the pandemic or whatever, like when you couldn't even buy stuff at the store, like even if you wanted to, and everything was marked up, and stores weren't just like gonna fire sell everything because they had a limited amount that they could get their hands on themselves, and if they did price it too low, then it would just all be sold immediately. So
yeah. And again, the Discord was great in the sense that it allowed some people to come together to have an opportunity to say, yes, it's not just me, and an avenue to figure out what to do. But I will say
it did get hijacked a little bit.
It got screwed up. Yeah, I'll leave it at that, and I'll let Ruck talk to him saving the thing and organizing us scatterbrained folks. So thanks. I do appreciate it, man.
No problem.
I don't know about saving.
Saving, trying to keep organization.
It was like herding kittens. It was literally herding kittens.
I've seen that same thing before. There was like basically a fake game store that was selling. It was like the Celebrations UPCs, and the group chat of the people that got ripped off. It like devolved into them like trading with each other and everything else. It was like, guys, can we just focus on like send me the stuff?
All I wanted.
Yeah.
I just wanted to listen, I lost nothing in all this, okay? In fact, I think I'm the only one that came out ahead with Rick, okay? As he said in his video, he came to my stream. We were only maybe a month old. He dropped a bunch of money, and he was upset with me because I didn't go spend it all back in his stream. Okay, that's just bad business. It's a bad business model. You won't stay in business long, obviously, unless it's still in business. But one of the things that was talked about through the video was the address being incorrect where he lived.
Yeah, so he had a weird thing, and I get that he kind of like he doesn't necessarily want to like give me directions to his house or anything like that. Not that I need them.
Well, and even what people are shipping, like his address on Whatnot was to this house in Washington, Longview, Washington, right? Mm-hmm. So he says he does it for the safety reasons because of the internet and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's what he said in the video. But he has no problem. Whoever these people are that actually live there, he has no problem using their address.
Yeah. So that's
like, why wouldn't you go get a PO box?
You would definitely just get a PO box.
So had no problem. He was like, "Oh, I'm worried about my 6'7", 250 frame getting harmed. but these two elderly people that live there, let's go ahead and set them up.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. Okay, so that's immediately, like, come on, guy.
That definitely didn't add up.
He said he never did over 10K in, I think, sales in the video, too.
Oh, yeah.
I think I could go to 2 of his streams right now and pull up. One of them was about $7,800 in sales in one of them, about 5K in another. That's just 2 streams, and he's been going for months.
Mm-hmm. But maybe some of those sales were like just show bids or something.
Sure,
maybe that's
absolutely.
That's why it's only 10K.
That could have very well been it.
Maybe Veda was bidding on stuff.
They were probably working together. We know. Yeah, who knows? This entire thing was nuts, and listening to the entire conversation, it went so. Hell, you barely said anything, Rattle.
Sometimes that happens. People like to talk to me for some reason.
Yeah, so I just kind of I sat back and you could just listen to it, and I think I was reading through chat as it was, and everybody knew it was BS coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe not entirely, but I'm sure there's enough BS coming out of there that nobody. You don't go to a con after not sending stuff out for 2 weeks after saying you're sick and deathly ill and all this stuff, and then you show up at a con and people are missing their stuff.
Yeah, that was something too. Just like the fact that you're behind on everything. Surely you don't have time to go to like an event in person. I don't think.
And not only that, but the people that spend their money with you.
He was saying that it was happening at the same time. But that everything was blowing up at the same time, but it was blowing up because everything was already behind.
It was blowing up because he wasn't sending things out.
Right.
Like, it's that simple.
It's not like it immediately blew up like he.
Right.
Yeah.
And when it came to the sales too, yes, you get the when you get the 1K sales or whatever, you get the instant payout. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, I hit it in early September. Well, that's true. You hit it in early September, but it didn't start until the following months. They don't actually pull that data until the first of the month. So if you hit it in September after the 1st, they won't pull the data until October 1st. And then you get instant payout. So October to the 15th, which was the con, was the window that everything started falling apart. Kind of convenient, right?
I don't understand why he would not be shipping stuff and still go to that event. Like, even
I think he thought he had more time.
Maybe.
Before somebody said
at
something.
that point, if like, yeah, maybe, or maybe it wasn't intentional. Maybe it wasn't intentional, and it was just like a money deficit or something like that. Maybe he got like
could be
financial trouble and then couldn't keep sending everything out, so it was just kind of like pushing everything off.
Yeah, and that very well could be. And if he was financially strapped, or there's some sort of medical thing actually going on, that sucks and that's terrible. And I'm sorry.
Yeah, but like lying about it and like not shipping stuff or just like typically you just got to be upfront with it. I get that like a lot of people don't want to like let on that they don't have money, or that they're not like a super duper G-baller with all the like the slabbiest slabs of all time. And
you're supposed to be living the ritzy lifestyle.
I got all the Pokemon.
My Bugattis.
Yeah. But my Bugatti filled with booster boxes, but like it's like that fake it till you make it kind of thing or something.
And it very well could have played into it, a little bit of that mentality playing into it. As far as with Howlin getting on board and everything, his contact that he has, here's where the incentive lies in that. As a seller, you get $200 for signing up another seller after they do their first stream. Yeah. Every seller that you get referred. Okay, so there's money incentive there. So of course, hey, everybody, come talk to me. I know somebody at Whatnot because I'll get you in, right?
I know my buddy referral.
Know somebody.
Code. Mr. Referral code here will
yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's incentive there. So why wouldn't he? But really, at the end of the day, I knew I was semi-local. I thought I might be able to help everybody, maybe get some of their money back, or find out how we can maybe move forward from this and resolve some of it. And that's kind of my involvement, really, is me asking the question, saying, hey guys, what's going on? And ultimately, at the end of the day, what was really disappointing is 99% of the group that was stolen from or lied to or all that stuff, they just wanted to complain. They didn't actually want to do anything. Think about it. I'm the guy who wasn't even affected by this. In fact, I came out ahead with Rick.
Yeah,
and yet I think I probably did more than anybody else. That's crazy. Guys, that's crazy.
And again, I think that's where, admittingly, it did kind of have me on tilt as well. Was the fact of the amount of effort that really kind of went in. And Ruck, I will give you credit for this because you were hurting the cats. You suggested creating a different area within the Discord, to put facts, right? Gather up your Cash App, the exact same things, Rattle, when you had your show that you asked for, like, send me the receipts, show me the conversations, send me the stuff. I'll try to help in any way that I can. And I think that that, to me, again, watching the stream, one, I didn't like being lumped in with somebody that's threatened somebody's family. That's, again, a button for me.
Yeah.
Call it what you will, trigger, I don't care. But I didn't like that, and I think it was listening to it, then all of a sudden I was like, yeah, no, I'm not. Like, the part of me that was like, all right, lesson learned, walk away from it, Howlin. You lost a little bit, so what? You did reach out to him. To his credit, again, he did give me some of the stuff back, and that was an opportunity for me to say, like, hey guys, like, reach out to him. Regardless of how much I got back, I got some back. So if you haven't done that, do that. And then it was the coming together of get everything together for whatnot. And I think, to Ruck's point, he really did that. He was like, hey, everybody, like, this is crazy. It's all over the place. Separate it out. And both of us have since left that Discord because it just started going wonky. And it was like, it's not about that. And that's, again, the other reason why I reached out. Look, I've got some good and some bad. I wasn't the most affected, but I would love the opportunity to at least come on and say, from a buyer's perspective, here's what happened. Like, this is how the friendships, and again, to the other one that you have with Pokevita, some of the folks that came on, it's you try to form what you think to be a friendship, and there's a lesson learned there for when something like this happens. But I think it was the fact that, had people not said something, he wouldn't have taken any action. And that's my opinion. Again, I can only state how I feel in my experience. And you're still, if you owe anything, you still owe something. Right? If you gave 9,000 back, but you got 10, then you still owe $1,000. And you can't go on saying all this stuff about people. And that's, again, where I reached out. I'm not the worst person in the scenario. Again, there are people that did get burned more on outside the platform stuff, to Whatnot's credit, despite how anybody may feel about the platform. They did the right thing. They got people back their money. I don't know anybody who, offhand anyways, again, I left the Discord, who didn't. But to credit Ruck, seriously, he didn't have too much of a dog in this fight, other than our collab stream thing and the willingness, geographical area, closeness, and willingness to say, hey, like, if you guys get me stuff, I'm not far away. If I can assist in making this right, or having at least looked into, right, then here's what we need. Again, sorry.
Makes sense. Ruck, did they thank you in the Discord? They should have been.
I don't know. I
don't remember seeing it, but
I don't remember reading one at any point. It was I ended up leaving at a certain point because the Discord lost its original purpose. So I kind of said see ya when I saw a platform that it was becoming, and I didn't want to be a part of that or even associate with. It was, but no, thank you. Nobody other than Howlin really reached out to me.
Well, I'll say thank you for organizing some of the chaos, and even if they don't appreciate it, hopefully somebody can use it as a learning lesson. Somebody that's watching, or somebody that ends up in somewhat of a similar situation, stuff like that's going to happen again. But hopefully, with enough of these examples, people kind of catch on and smarten up. It's a lot of you just got to be really careful when there's an amount of money involved that you don't want to lose.
That's exactly it. If you're not willing to lose it, it's like going to the casino. If you're not willing to lose it, don't be playing with it like that.
Right. Whether it's purchases, whether it's somebody that like is buddy with you on whatever the platform might be, just gotta be careful. Or just like scams and stuff in general. Like you can't be too excited. Sometimes the blinders go up. If it's a storage locker, if it's, someone saying that they got this awesome slab deal, or a store going under, or whatever.
Cash only.
It's too good to be true. Cash only.
Yeah, congratulations, you just won. Reply in 5 minutes. I think that's the latest one. But
yeah, you say it every time in the videos, Rattle. It's literally protect yourself, guys. Make sure you don't use the friends and family. Just pay the fees, do whatever you got to do, because it's worth it. It's your little insurance policy. Just consider it insurance.
Even if the seller is like, no, I'm not paying the fees, like just pay the fees yourself. Just offer to pay the fees. And if they don't want to accept the fact that you're going to pay the fees, it's probably a bad reason, a bad deal, or something that could go wrong. It's just like, there's no reason, if you're going to cover that cost, that they shouldn't be all right with that.
And whether it's Whatnot, eBay, or whatever, if you reach out to the seller first, and if not, contact the platform. Because again, I've been burned by something on an eBay purchase that was fake. It was fake Pokemon cards. I didn't know, and once I knew, I contacted the person. They were not that great, but I reached out to eBay, and eBay's like, "We'll take care of it. Don't worry." And again, it's one of those things that I think, unfortunately, there's people out there. But thankfully, when you have a platform that's willing to stand behind themselves, that, to whatever credit you want to give, I think that does mean something. Whether it's eBay, Whatnot, Drip, whatever it is.
Keep it through those avenues.
Yes.
If you get too comfortable, if you make transactions with these people like over and over and over again that are protected, that they don't have the option to rip you off, then it starts sliding outside of that a little bit, and then you end up with a mess. But even if the intent
rolled into complacency.
True. All right. Is there anything else? Anything else that was in that video? Oh, was there anything else that raffle? He kind of like dismissed that the fossil pack. Was there any more details on that were like important? Or you would just like, you won the raffle, he was supposed to send you the pack, and it got lost or something?
On Instagram, you can see the video of the spinning wheel and everything with my name coming up. And I think I would have to go back and look at the messages, because at one point I had asked him if he had sent it in one of the lost slab or the Celestial Boosty box. I think I asked, like, did you send it with that? Or were you sending it with my Whatnot purchases, or how was that coming? And it never got answered. And not that I can recall. Again, if it was in there, there is a lot of messages. I don't deny that, between Whatnot, Instagram, text, whatever.
Yeah.
But again, I think it was one of those, I had kind of let this go until the video, and then I just was like, that's not all necessarily true. And even if I'm not the most wrong, somebody should say something to be like, there's partial truth here.
That's weird too. Careful with giveaways. Sometimes they're fake, but usually if someone's going to fake a giveaway, they don't pick an actual name and then not send it. That's weird to me. But maybe you didn't take enough notes from Fahim. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
All right. I think that's pretty much it. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thank you to you two for, I guess, your involvement in trying to wrap things up with that, and for coming on to talk to me about it. And
yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Hopefully, another learning lesson for everyone. Be careful. Protect yourself with your purchase methods if it's significant money. That's about it. All right.
Thanks.
Bye.